Well, and that's, I think, something else to take out of this whole quarantine thing is like, don't knock something that somebody else does because you never know. Like, it might be something you decide to take on, or it might just be just something to be interested in. But I think a lot of people just knock it for no reason.
Hello, and welcome to Slightly Smokin' live stream. I'm your host, Jack Murdoch, and today's guest is Lauren Cohen, Explorin' Lauren. You might have seen her on Instagram. She's got a lot of great work, and there she is now.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
This is so cool. I've never done Instagram Live like this.
Right on. Now you're doing it. Now you know how it works.
I know.
I just started doing Zoom. I've been doing like these live streams on Instagram, and then now I'm doing Zoom. Now I'm doing all these live streams, Skype, everywhere, just to connect, and whether it's magic or family or friends, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, this will be fun. It's been a while.
I know. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I know. So we'll dive into everything. We'll always start from the beginning. When we started going down the rabbit hole, tell us your little story on how you got into magic.
So I was into magic as a young kid. I took magic classes after school, but I didn't realize that there were magic kit. Well, I had magic kits, but I didn't realize there were magic books or DVDs or VHSs or any of that. And so I stopped doing magic altogether. And then as an adult, I started picking it back up by just looking online. And then I was at a party and a friend of mine told me that the castle had classes for adults. So I went home that night, signed up, and then the rest is history. Like the first night after magic class, I was just grinning from ear to ear. And I was like, cool, the magic bug bit me very hard.
Yeah, bit by the magic bug, as they say.
Yeah.
So the magic castle is really the thing that opened you up and really like, whoa. There's like real magic, and there's so many like genres of magic. Because I remember when I first went there too, it was just like seeing all the different genres and different, experience, and also seeing the prodigy kids. I'm like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
It's intimidating, but it was just so welcoming too.
Yeah.
What do you think the most challenging thing was, like getting in part of that community? Because I know some people have hit or miss moments.
I think being a woman, and I hate to use that, but I think that a lot of it is women aren't taken seriously in magic, and women are starting to more. But 6-7 years ago when I started, it was like, oh, this is cute little girl. Like, I'll teach you 1 or 2 tricks and then that will be it. And so having people take me seriously, where I was like, no, I actually read and I actually want to learn, and I want to improve.
Yeah, no, I know. I see that a lot. Like, there'll be some guys that will, because there's a lot less women in magic. And when they see that, they're not sure, and then they also will take her under the wing. And I think it also is be very overwhelming for a woman, because then you have all these guys kind of flocking to you and wanting to help and do this and that. And some have good intentions, and some are different intentions.
Wanting to help.
yeah. So it's interesting, and I've heard a lot of different stories. Nowadays, it does seem like the female community of magicians is definitely growing. I love to see, like, online, there's such a huge presence. And I'm seeing left and right pop up. I'm like, right on. Like, you've always been around, too. Now it's coming out. It's really, really awesome to see that balance. And I remember, who was it? I think, Penn Gillette was saying, like, I think the future is going to be female. I really see that because guys have been in this whole magic thing for so long, and like I'm sure there's gonna be that balance eventually, and we're gonna see a lot more like great female magicians, and there already are.
Yeah, there are. There was a really, really great collaboration that I just saw this week. Nicola put it out, and it was just women from all different countries, and they were passing objects, and I was just like,
Yeah.
yes, like really awesome magic, all women, like you go girls.
Yeah, that was awesome. I saw that too, and it was really good magic. There was so much fun stuff and different magic, and I was pretty blown away. I was like, right on, hell yeah.
Yeah,
So I love
exactly.
seeing that. And what would you say? Do you remember maybe before you got into magic? What was like the first thing you saw in magic? I always like to see a magician's first experience in magic, like what it was, whether it was like the coin man in the air or someone on stage.
Well, my first experience in magic was just having a magic kit, and then my first experience seeing somebody else do it was at a class, and it was when the teacher had a salt shaker on the table, and then he hit it, and it like vanished. I was like, oh my God, this is cool. I can do this at dinner. Oh, this is cool. This is magic. But it's funny because even though I stopped doing magic as a kid, there are certain things that are definitely very magic focused. Like I had a diary with blacklight ink, or like I've always wanted to have a hidden bookcase room door type of thing. And so just like hidden things like that, that looking back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, you like the secret compartments, the 007. You know, it's kind of goes hand in hand. I think a lot of magicians even look up to characters like 007, like Secret Agent Man, because they have all these compartments, even in their pockets, and
Yeah,
their jackets, and in their purses,
exactly.
and everything. There's in the card boxes. There's always something that's more than ordinary.
Right. Yeah, and I always liked puzzle boxes and things that like just looked hidden. Like my uncle used to make books with like he cut out little compartments in it and would hide stuff in there. And so just like little things like that, or I thought they were the coolest.
Yeah, no, that definitely goes hand in hand because it's like I mean, even creating like gimmicks, there's like little things inside of things that we use as ordinary objects, and there's like really
Right.
pretty contraption.
Right,
And it's so
exactly.
fun. It's so fun when you come across that and it looks so normal. Even I've been seeing a lot lately. It's funny, you know, the vanishing card box or
Oh yeah.
the crayon box or the cigarette box. And when I first saw that, I was blown away. Like that was one of the first like gimmicks. I was just like, wow, it's so simple but so cool. Like
Yeah.
just a perfect illusion.
That's what I tell people too, because so many people are like, wait, how is it done? How is this done? And I'm like, honestly, you don't want to know because
Yeah.
some of the methods are so simple that you can't ever unsee it.
That's kind of one. Those are one of them. You know, actually, that was one trick I did show one of my good friends because he sees me do magic all the time. I'm like, you know what? I'll share this with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I had him do it because I'm like, you could do this. It's basically a self-working trick. And once he saw how it worked, he was more amazed about like, wow, like he would have never thought actually. Like the fact that it's that simple. It's
Yeah.
just a freaking, you know, that's what it is. And a lot of magic is like that. You
Yeah.
find out the secret. It's like, oh, it doesn't really have magic powers. It's like that's just an act.
I mean, certain tricks definitely the ingenuity with it is incredible, but other tricks you're just like, yeah, the method's really dumb. Like,
Yeah.
like a lot of floating stuff. You're like, you don't really want to know how that's done.
That's a tough subject to get into. Like animations, levitations. You have to really believe it, and you got to sell it as real levitation. And
Right.
for the most part, many people are going to know, oh, it's an invisible. It's some sort of invisible string. I don't know how it works.
Right.
And even me as a magician, I'll see some great levitators, and I'll know that it's invisible string, but it can be so amazingly well done
Yeah.
that you're not thinking about that. You're just like, I
Mhm.
don't even know how, or more or less now we're thinking about how is he hooking it up like that?
Yeah.
But it's still one of those things, kind of like the cigarette or the card box disappearing. Like you kind of know, but you're still really amazed on the work behind
Oh
it.
yeah.
And
Totally.
I've met people that I don't do much levitations as much as I used to. I work with a lot of the loops. I know you like the loops too.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you work with them. And then for those brief moments, and a lot of people say you work with just those brief moments, not so much, oh, look at it floating. And
Yeah.
then you see that vibration of the thread. That's how I think when it starts telling, where it's like, it's hooked on something, I just don't know what.
Yeah. Well, the most fun I've had with loops has been when people don't expect it. So like some people are like, "Oh yeah, you're just gonna float something next, haha," and then they'll turn around and I get ready and then I do float something, and they're like, "Wait, what?" Like,
Right?
they're like,
It's
"Can I say
always there,
anything and you're gonna
just in
do
case.
it?"
I mean, they're one of the best like things just to carry around on your person, whether it's in your wallet or purse or whatever. And I've had those moments too, where like someone challenges you to levitate or move something.
Yeah,
Like, okay, because I don't do it as much, but I'm always ready for it. It's
right.
like, okay, now I have my time. Maybe I'll take my break, go to the bathroom, load them up, or just do it right in front of them.
Yeah,
I would do it underneath the table, depending on
yeah.
where it's at.
That's why I really like close-up magic because it uses everyday objects. I mean, like, I'm a total cards girl through and through, and cards you can buy anywhere. And it's an object that people are familiar with, where it's like, okay, you know there are four suits, you know there are 52 cards in a deck, you know just it's ace through king, like
So I was just gonna ask you too, what was your favorite type of magic? So close-up magic, of course.
100%. Yeah.
Have you dabbled with any stage before? I don't know.
That's funny. No.
I don't know. I was just curious.
No, I tried to
Close up.
dabble. I tried to dabble a little bit with parlor, and I
Yeah.
was just like, close up is my thing. Like, it's what I enjoy watching. It's what I enjoy reading, and it's what I enjoy doing too. Like, I really, really like having magic on me at all times, and like when I'm out and about and not during COVID, then I'm just able to pull out some magic and do it.
Yeah, I know. Same here. It's one of the coolest art forms, like particularly the subgenre of magic, like close-up magic, because it is so versatile. Like you carry around a coin and a deck of cards, you're good,
Right.
and that doesn't take up space at all, really.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the same reason why I like it too. And like you said, it's more organic. You can use items around at the table or wherever you're going. There's always something you can manipulate in a way because you practice so much how to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to dabble more into impromptu coin magic because there are some times where I, heaven forbid, leave my cards at home and somebody asks to see magic. And so I can just be like, oh, well, do you have a coin? And if they're able to pull a coin out and I'm able to do something with it, then I think it takes it to another level and a different level of impossibility.
Yeah. Yeah, coin magic's so awesome. Coin and ring magic. Like those are some of my favorite close-up pieces because people carry around those. They're used to that. They're very familiar objects.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, cards too. Cards have a very great mystique. Everyone has been aware of them for years, decades, or ages.
I always tell people too, where I'm like, this is an art form. Like, this is something I work really hard at. This isn't like I wasn't born with magical powers as much as I would love to be. Like, it's an art form. I don't perform magic in hopes of necessarily fooling people or making people feel like I'm smarter than them. I just like to share my art.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important for people to know that because a lot of people don't really know that. A lot of laymen don't really see it as an art. They see it as another prankster or trickster doing his tricks or fooling me.
Right.
And once you get past that level, and I think that's just a misconception they'll have just to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
They really got to open up to you to really see what it's all about. That's when the real magic like starts. So what else is your other favorite type of magic that you like to perform or maybe even watch?
Um,
Mostly
honestly,
cards?
mostly cars and some coins. I'm starting to try to get into coins, but it's like there's certain slights that I do, and then I see it in the mirror, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna just go back to my cards now. But I've never really been into gambling moves, but I bought 40's book, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's really good, and I really like that he goes into just different gambling moves and just kind of the history of it, and some of the terminology he uses is really cool. I would say gambling is a subset of close-up magic, but it's something that I'm starting to read more into.
Right on. Yeah, that's I know that takes some time to get in the gambling demonstrations and then different dealings, and so much work. I know 40. Wow, getting into his work, it must be intense, but
Yeah.
awesome. I know he's very detail oriented, which is great.
I really appreciate all of the different anecdotes that he tells, and it just like it makes me feel like I know him more. I've met him, I think, once before, and he was just a really cool guy. But reading what he's written, I'm like, oh, I feel like he's my friend now, even though he's
Yeah.
definitely not.
I always talk about that with magicians, how like easily we can reach our idols or icons in magic,
Hmm.
and they're not like so untouchable as like celebrities are. But in our world, they're totally celebrities, and then now we're
Right.
hanging out with them.
Right. And that's something too that I found out with the castle is because I feel like I kind of quote unquote grew up in the castle as far as magic goes. Like I spent the first few years when I was into it as an adult just in the castle world. And I didn't realize just like, I mean, everybody is so accessible. And then I didn't realize it until I went to a couple conventions and I was mentioning people and I was like, oh yeah, I was just talking to so-and-so about that. And they thought I was name dropping and I was like, no, like that person's my friend. Like I got a dinner with them. Like
That's your friend? What? I think that's where some magicians kind of stop themselves from connecting, and that they'll almost see that other magician that they really idolize, and they're like, "Oh no, he's too good for me." It's like, no, you can really walk up to that person. I mean,
Mhm.
I know some guys have big egos, and it can be, tough on some people going up to them. But why not try? Because for the most part, I think there's a lot of good people in magic.
For sure.
You'll find out when they're bad.
Yeah,
Really easy. For the most part, when you're around those great magicians, they're not just like great magicians; they're great people. And they're
exactly.
humble, and they want to help, and evolve the magic community.
Hmm.
And I'm seeing that more than ever right now, which is really cool to see so much like openness and a lot of magicians coming out and sharing and putting out material that you've probably never even seen. We're going to see so much more like visual magic throughout this time, I think.
As a creative person, it's really fun to see other ways that people have been creative during this time. I mean, I'm not a full-time magician, but I do see a lot of full-time magicians like doing more virtual shows and doing more live streams. I'm like, that's super cool.
Yeah, so what have you been doing during this quarantine time?
I've been working like crazy with my day
Good.
job. A lot of people talk about all this extra time that they have, but I don't really have that much time, or it doesn't feel like that anyway. I've been reading some books for magic. I've been reading Scott Robinson's Pure Imagination, which is really good. Really recommend it. He's also just such a sweet guy. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, been reading 40's book. Yeah, so just been busy with that. And been trying to search for a house in this market too, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, it must be
But
interesting, huh?
yeah, it's really interesting, but it's exciting. Looking at houses where I'll potentially have a designated magic room, which I'm really excited for. So.
Yeah, I know that sounds really exciting. I think that's every like magician's dream to have like a magic studio.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to have like the hidden bookcase door too,
Oh, yeah.
with like the hidden passageway. I was like, I want that. I'm gonna have
You
that.
got your own little magic castle. And I always work with it's just like small spaces, so I have to like really have those moments where I have, I gotta have my little studio work for either whether it's artwork or doing the magic or even the gimmick area of magic.
Well, for you, you do a lot outside too.
I know usually I'm outside. I mean, right now I'm enjoying it just because I can, but as far as magic shows, not so much.
You
No,
can't really do busking or anything.
not right now. No way. I just talked to a guy I'm gonna have on here. He's a little younger, and he just started doing busking magic, and he just quit his job like to do busking magic right before this happened, like quarantine, like 3 months ago.
Okay, that's scary.
And I'm like, ooh, man, you really took the leap at probably the most difficult times to do it.
Yeah.
And yesterday he just went out to do it, and I think he went somewhere in I think it was Orange. And I was like, well, let me know how it goes, because like it might be really interesting, because he's worked on a show, like a whole social distancing type show, and it's really slow out there, of course, but he said he was still able to have people gather around and wait, and they're more curious than ever, because they're kind of like, whoa, what is this guy doing? Like,
Right.
so there's like this kind of another weird interest part. I think I'll wait until I feel better. That's why I'm just doing more of this and just
Right.
connecting with the family on here.
Yeah, I wish I had more time to do magic these days. I feel like I just don't, though. I've been trying to help out where I can. So I'm on the board for the Divernon Foundation,
Oh,
which
cool.
is an organization that raises money for people in the magic community going through financial distress. And so we set up two different funds, relief funds, one for performers, and then the other one for the Academy of Magical Arts employees because 189 of them got let go. And
Oh,
so
really?
I've been trying to focus on that and raising funds for that because I'm like, well, I really want to help people who are not in the best of situations. And I'm fortunate to be in a good situation right now. So if you're a performer, then feel free to fill out an application and you could potentially get some money if you're really hurting.
Yeah, I may look into that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the time being, we're focusing on extreme needs. So people who are unable to put food on the table.
Yeah, no, it's still a lot of them. I know, especially where I'm at, like in Orange County, I know a lot of people are struggling big time because they're not getting enough. So they're like kind of clinging on to whatever they can. And it's really tough because it's like they almost just get just a nibble of what they could work with.
Yeah.
And I see why people also are freaking out. And it's kind of an interesting time to see, like, you're seeing really a lot of true colors of people right now too.
Exactly.
People for who they really are and what they think is necessary.
Well, and also companies too. I mean, I'm fortunate to work for a company that really hasn't let anyone go due to COVID. And I know a lot of other companies that have. And just seeing how different companies take on, you know, this kind of threat.
Yeah, so what have you taken out from all this isolation?
Since the isolation started, I've been basically living with my boyfriend. And so we've been getting along great. So it's like, okay, that's really nice to know that if there is another quarantine, then like we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a real test for relationships.
It is.
Family. I mean, I was stuck with family for like a month, and I was like, oh man, it's kind of like a madhouse. But at the same time, it was like, wow, I learned so much about my family I had no idea about.
Yeah.
And I learned, like, relationships. So now that you guys are like in such close corners.
I also am taking out of this that I'm not big on video chatting. I'm on my computer all day and like in meetings, video chatting, and I'm just like, I don't really want to be on this. And so at the end of the day, I really just kind of close my laptop and don't look at my phone.
So yeah, it's good to keep it in moderation as much as possible because it can be a lot of work, especially when you do it for work, right?
Exactly. For meetings, I'm like constantly, I try to look at the people who are talking, obviously, and then you like go back to looking at yourself, and I'm like, I don't really want to stare at myself for that many hours every day.
Isn't it weird? That's another thing. I'm trying to come up with more magic up here, and there's it really sets the frame up for working if you're doing like virtual shows to work up there. I think I like it better than that way than looking at the hands, like the crotch shot.
Yeah.
But it depends on the type of magic. Like card magic, obviously on the table does seem like you'd want it more down that view. But now I'm trying to see what can we work in to get in this area.
Exactly.
And I've seen guys create and are now coming up with a lot of cool different stuff. So I'm like really rethinking a lot of my material because I'd like to try to do some virtual shows. I'll be doing the one, I think you're doing it too, the 24-hour magic show, right?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for it, but planning on doing stuff. I'm actually thinking about using some props that I bought that are not good to use, like, quote unquote, in real life, like the ones that are just good for video.
Yeah.
Where it's like, might as well take advantage of the situation and do tricks that like I would never do in person. But I'm like, well, it probably would look good on camera.
Yeah, I've had some conversations about that, like the type of magic we do, like on Instagram or social platforms. Some guys I know from talking to them, that they'll always perform something they can't perform live. And I was one of those guys too.
Yeah.
I would always put up videos that I could do live. So I know if someone asked about it, I could do it. But
Right.
then there's the other half where people are doing tricks that they would never perform live. But they could be great magicians and they just do different stuff. But all the stuff on Instagram and stuff they would never do live.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I guess it doesn't really matter. He's like, either way, it kind of limits yourself. Why not try to just do everything you do? And that's why I'm seeing a lot of even magicians, guys we look up to, putting out material that they probably never shared with anybody. Because now there's not a live audience to perform for anymore. So they're like, well, let's let it out on the screen or let it on through YouTube or Instagram. And I know some people think like, oh, is that good for them? They're putting out that. But like, I think it's going to help upgrade the magic. Whether people are, imitating others or mocking others or taking this and that, people are now aware of what's going on. And so now they're grasping onto these new concepts and trying to make their own versions of that. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that when people are trying to like take something that's not theirs and something they just saw from a video, and then they put it on to their own video.
I think it's fine. I mean, I think when something is published, it's meant to be done, and I would prefer that people take an existing trick and make it theirs, as opposed to just like do it word for word as someone else has written it or recorded it or anything else. Where it's like, the Garrett Thomas is one of my favorite magicians and favorite people, but a lot of what he says, it's like the reasons he says certain things, it's a psychological reason, and so it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's interesting too. I find I really hate doing magic for the camera, because I feel like when you do it in person, there's like misdirection you can do, and there's certain angles, and when you're doing it for the camera, there's just one angle.
Yeah.
And so kind of like, okay, how can I figure out the way to do this? And when you were talking about like framing it with your face, I know Guy Hollingworth talks a lot about that, about the importance of holding cards up here, even if it's like a close-up trick. So it's
I think that's a part that they do. A lot of books they talk about that too. Maybe in the beginning or towards like the moment of the magic, or the end is usually the moment they always say point to the face or have the cards at the face, because typically it doesn't seem very natural all the time to be like this. Hey, pick a card like that. Natural is to have it down
right.
to the waist. So now it's like we don't really see that waist level unless we have like a full screen.
Right.
But a lot of times, and I'm noticing a lot for the virtual shows, it's going to be horizontal. So then you are cut off. So it's good if you could step back and work on a table. So I think there's going to be a lot more. I mean, I've already seen it, so much more like table work.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to work in that frame. It's just a little longer now.
Danny Garcia actually talked about that during the Vanishing Ink. It was so cool. It was so cool. Yeah, he like printed off basically a paper, and it like, let's say it matched the wall, and so it was like this, and so it looked just like the background. It wasn't like a card, obviously, but you could just hide stuff behind it, and so really just playing off of the camera.
Yeah, a lot of camouflage stuff, a lot of things. I mean, so many optical illusions are going to be created throughout this time of magic.
It is pretty cool. And it's funny too, because so many people were hating on YouTube magicians for so long. And my thought with it was just kind of like, it's a different type of magic. Like, I don't think one is better than the other or worse than the other. I think it's just a different type. But it's funny because I feel like all the people that were hating on it before are now like all about it. Yeah, like Kayla and Ellie.
I was always iffy about doing magic. I mean, I have fun doing magic for videos and this and that, but it wasn't my main thing. Like, I really like live performances and dealing with real people. But now it's kind of pushed me into that level where, like, yeah, why not? Why not go into it and play with it? Because there's already guys prior to this quarantine, that were making a great living doing that and still doing shows. Mm-hmm. Now those guys are busier than ever, making a way better living, which is pretty cool to see that. And then these guys that were knocking it are hopping on board, and that's how they're making their living.
Right.
And it puts them in their place, and it kind of humbles them, because they're like, okay, yeah, we had to do it, we might as well. And you guys are right. And now they're going to the people that they've been knocking, like asking them, how do you do this? What do you do here? What do you do that?
Right. Right. Well, and that's, I think, something else to take out of this whole quarantine thing is, like, don't knock something that somebody else does, because you never know. Like, it might be something you decide to take on, or it might just be just something to be interested in. But I think a lot of people just knock it for no reason.
I think it's super cool. I have a lot of respect for guys that have been doing it for a while now, and I'm like reaching out to them and like, you're right, man. You should have been doing it all along. Why not? It's just another thing to have on board. And it's actually part of the backup plan, really, when you think about it. Like you're saying, having that emergency fund and safety net is great. And so being a virtual entertainer or influencer, whatever it may be, online, having even a store online, is the backup plan. And it also could be the main thing. Because luckily we have internet to be doing this work.
Absolutely.
Like before, think about it, like without this, like we would not be talking, maybe. Oh, no. Even like if our phones were down, they had no phones, like no internet, nothing. Like it'd be so different.
That's why I really enjoyed the Vanishing Ink. I don't know what they called it, like a little live stream day. Because it was really cool to just sit there and listen to people talk, and I was like, I'm in my pajamas sitting on my couch. Like,
I don't know, I feel like I'm doing that so much more now, just with everything. Even it's something I would do anyways. I put like maybe a video or a podcast and listen when I wake up. Now I feel like I'm more into it, more involved, because there's not that busyness of life right now. So any last parting advice you can send us? I know we already kind of ended off on a good one.
Yeah, I don't think I have any parting advice, but if
maybe
anybody...
advice that you've taken in your life that you gotten from someone?
Life advice, you said?
Yeah.
I would say the one that I think about often is, when's the last time you did something for the first time? And so I think about that often, because it's like, why not just try something new?
Do it, guys. Dip your feet in the cold water.
Or not.
Or not. Or go do something new. Even learn a
walk.
new card control. Maybe try a new flourish.
Yeah. Try a type of magic you haven't tried before.
Hey, thanks, Lauren. I know Lonnie said Lauren's the only person I know that actually seen grinding and studying on the Castle Library. Right on. Keep on going, girl. You're doing good.
Yeah, I wish I could go back to the Castle Library right now.
Soon, we're all going to be gathered there soon. I'll see you soon. Thank you for your time. And thank you guys for joining in and Slightly Smoking. Go check us out. We're still there. I'll be saving the story.
Awesome.
Got 15 seconds remaining. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Appreciate it.